And what is going on, everybody? And welcome back to episode 160 of the Designated Players Podcast. Today, we're switching it up a little bit. We're not talking present, we're not talking history, kinda, but we're doing lists because lists bang on social media. People love yelling at people about their top 10 lists. So let's do it. Let's get people angry. Let's get a conversation going. Today, we are going through the top 10 MVP seasons. We are going into year, what is this, 27 now? 29?
Let's see.
I can't count. It's too late.
This is year 28 currently,
28. Yeah,
I
I knew it was,
believe.
I think it was 2023 minus 1996. 27. I was right. I knew it. Maybe
Oh, we've
going
done
into
20.
28.
We've done
Yeah, we've
27.
done 27. We're in the 28th. Look at
Yeah.
that. So we are going to go back and we're going to look at every single one of those and we're going to give the top 10 best MVP seasons. There are some great ones. There are some really bad ones. But I know, Connor, what you're thinking. What we need to do is just put a stamp to it right now. Number one, the 2023 MVP, Alex Mawil. Number two, the 20, where'd he go? 2004 MVP, Amado Guevara, because yes, the Metro make, the world take. And everybody else is after. I don't really care. So,
Good.
shall we go to Scar for the week?
I'm glad there's no bias in your picks.
None at all. Shall we go to Scar for the week?
Yes. Scar for the week for me, and this is definitely not a sign of things to come or any spoilers, but I've brought out the classic Atlanta United scarf, the one from season one and maybe season two. I can't remember when I started getting new scarves, but
The
retro
OG. That's right. That was the only one for a long, long
for
time.
a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. I am giving away spoilers as I already did. So because we're talking only about the greatest Red Bull slash Metro Star MVP runs, we're breaking out a Red Bull scarf. So I kind of ruined the episode already by saying who I've got first. So
Yeah.
let's stay
And
true.
you also spoiled this year's MVP too. So
I know, but the script was already out there. Somebody's going to find it eventually. Um,
I have a question for you before we jump into the list.
okay, sure.
So we're talking about the best MVP seasons. Now that you've gone through the list, do you have a pick for the worst MVP season?
Yeah, there are a couple of them.
Who's if you had to pick one as the worst, what would you pick?
I'm torn between 96 Carlos Valderrama and 21 Carlos Heel, only because the people that they beat out were a bit more deserving. That's very closely followed by 2006 David Villa. 2016 David, excuse me.
I think you just have a gripe with David Villa.
No. If you put David Villa in your list, I will go down a laundry list of reasons why he should not be on that list.
You'll have to wait and find out. Um, I personally think, and this is before I started following, so you can give me more context if I'm completely out of pocket here. But I think 2013 Mike McGee was a pretty rough one.
Yep,
He
that's
had
up there too.
15 goals, 4 assists, and his team finished 12th in the Supporter Shield and missed the playoffs.
He did play for two teams in that year, but I don't have him in my list, so I'll go through it. I've got 24 goals, four penalties across all competition. Uh, Champions League when he was with LA, um, Open Cup, things like that. So 24 goals and six assists over two teams in 42 appearances. LA did get to the CCL semifinals, which he was a part of, but Chicago was not in the playoffs, and he did score the second most goals. But yeah, definitely.
So I wonder then if maybe they split his numbers up and that's maybe why it looks smaller. So it was Chicago and LA. Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Let me check really quick. I'm curious to see if they actually split it. So maybe I'm just missing numbers.
Well, either way, I
Oh
think
yeah, they did. They
yeah,
split it. Okay, that's definitely never mind. Not my pick for the worst one.
it's up there though. I will say it's up there because it's just it feels kind of meh compared to who he was beating. But we can't go through all of those because that might be another episode. Top 10
Gonna
worst,
double dip.
double dip, top 10 best, top 10 worst. There's enough where we could do it and not overlap.
It's true. It's true. We could.
So, What
That
I want
point,
to know
we
first.
might as well just rank the whole list at that point.
No, we don't have time for that. That's top 10 is what gets the attention, not ranking.
All right. Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know some honorable mentions. Give me your best honorable mention. Like who just missed out.
Ooh, I can't wait to pick someone that's on your list and you start freaking out at me. Uh, I was between a couple people, and ultimately I cut out 1999 Jason Christ season. 18 goals, 15 assists was tough to keep
Mhm.
off the list, but considering Dallas were third in Supporter Shield and didn't even make the Cup final, that definitely hurt a little bit. And then Marco Echeverri, 1998, was a tough one for me to leave off as well. 10 goals, 19 assists in 29 games, second in the Supporter Shield, and made it to MLS Cup final, but lost. Also beat out Kobe Jones that season, who had ridiculous stats. Uh, so I figured if he beat out Kobe, then either it was a terrible pick by the people in charge, or he actually was like balling out ridiculously.
Which
So
would
I
not be the first time, by the way.
no, I mean he was an MVP finalist at least for I think the first 3 seasons in MLS history, which is insane.
Three of the first
So,
four. He wasn't
three of the
there.
first four, yes.
Yeah.
He missed 1996. But yeah, 97, 98, 99, he was in the running, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. One for me that I think I've just left out um, was I had Echeverry and I had Kreis in there. Um, Preki 97 was one that I was close to. 13 goals, 3 penalties, 11 assists, 20 appearances. That might be 30. I might have had a typo there, but um, Wizards topped the West, but they lost in the first round of the playoffs. He didn't top either the goals or assists. He was just the scoring champion, which they put a lot of weight on early on in MLS. Um, but because he wasn't top of either category, I didn't feel right putting him in there.
Fair, fair.
All right. Shall we start off with your number 10? Give me your number 10 best MVP season.
All right, let's get the yelling started. Number 10, I've gone for 2022 Hany Mukhtar. Love the season from him. Ridiculous stat line. 23 goals, 11 assists, 34 goal contributions is genuinely top 5, I think, in terms of goal contributions from an MVP in one season. A few of the things that weighed him a little bit more down my list was that Nashville as a team were good. They were a good team, but they weren't great. They were ninth in the Supporter Shield, 17 points off of the Supporter Shield winners, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the LA Galaxy. Um, I and he also played, I believe, the joint most amount of regular season games on this list of any MVP. So while his stats are really high, he played a lot more games than some other people on this list. Still, obviously, an incredible season. So he's on my list. We've talked about it a number of times of how much we've seen Hany's season in 2021 deserving of an MVP. And it was great to see him finally get it in 2022. And I think it was an even better season than what he put up in 2021. So definitely deserving of being on the list, but it is just on the list for me.
For you to go into your honorable mentions and say a lot of these teams didn't make the cup final, so I couldn't put them in there, and then putting a team that lost in the first round of the biggest playoff game and the biggest playoff tournament in MLS history and didn't even finish top 5 in the table, but he scored a lot of goals, so it's okay.
Yeah,
That
he
feels that
scored.
feels kind of bad.
He has more goal contributions than both of them, and he's doing it in the modern day MLS. He wasn't doing this in 1998 MLS, where it was literally brand new and half the players out there were probably not even close to the level of players today in MLS.
I think I don't like I said he was on my honorable mention. He was one of the guys I took out last minute. So I'm not disagreeing with you that he should be low, but I think your reasoning for leaving others off and putting him in there, your recency bias is speaking a little bit.
Well, let's also remember that in 1997 MLS and 1998 there were 10 teams. So it's not hard to finish close in Supporter Shield and also win one round and be essentially almost an MLS Cup final.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. I'm not gonna argue that. That's okay. At 10 for me, I went with 2010 David Ferreira. 10 goals, 4 PKs, 13 assists, and 34 appearances from Wikipedia. You can correct my stats if I'm wrong because you took it off of MLS websites. You've got some second assists in there I probably don't have.
Mine's also just regular season stats. So if yours
Oh,
has
okay.
other stuff, you might have like some more goals and some more appearances. But
Yep. So I took it over the entire season, which I probably shouldn't have done considering that it's an MLS MVP, not a whole season US Open Cup, whatever.
mhm.
Um, but I looked at it. So 10 goals, 13 assists in 34 appearances, only 4 penalties. Dallas finished fourth in the standings and got all the way to MLS Cup final before losing to Colorado on the only own goal, game winning goal in MLS Cup history. Stay tuned for MLS history retold for when we go through that one, because that'll be a fun one. Um, he did have the second most assists in this in the league that year. So again, a very well-rounded season for a central attacking midfielder to take his team to a cup final. He of course had help around him. It wasn't just him. Um, yeah, like I said, didn't top the goals or assists, but he was up there. And he brought a team in Dallas who had been meh up to this point to an MLS Cup final. So that is something that I think needs to be recognized. So he is at 10 on my list. And just to clarify really quick, Dallas in 2009 were seven in the Western Conference. They missed the playoffs. So in 1 year, he brought them to MLS Cup final.
Where they lost to the Rapids of all teams.
I should have brought out my Rapids scarf. That Rapids team was a good Rapids team in 2010. This isn't like 2022 Rapids. It's a good Rapids team.
This isn't post Western Conference champions Rapids. Is that what you're
No.
saying?
Yes, this isn't post somehow snuck into being the best Western Conference team.
Should we dive into number 9?
You want unless you have anything to say about my number 10.
No, I think it's a good pick. I mean, I've remember doing research in the past. Just I can't remember exactly on what, but his name pops up as one of the best best players in league history, and I think that 2010 season is a culmination of that. I think
Yeah.
fantastic season for a fake team.
As I said, it's crazy. I didn't think that they had anybody because they didn't exist before like 2022.
They still don't exist. It's their first season every year. Brand
Well,
new team.
what about 9? What do you got at 9?
So at 9, I've got 2001 Alex Pineda Chacon for Miami Fusion.
Nice.
19 goals, 9 assists in 25 games is an outrageous goal contribution per game ratio. Also helped Miami Fusion win the Supporter Shield that year and lost in the MLS Cup in the conference finals to San Jose. So essentially the semifinals. In that season, he beat out Diego Serna, who had 15 goals, 15 assists in 22 games. That to me said a lot because he was beating out a guy who had some of the best stats line I've seen in this entire list of MVP finalists. For me, the big thing was winning the Supporter Shield. I think that was a big driver in me putting him on the list, but also just the amount of goals and assists and the amount of games played that he had. It's just a crazy ratio. You look at 19 and 9, it's not anything crazy when you look at the top people on this list. I mean, the top people on this list put up ridiculous numbers. But considering how many games he played, plus helping Miami Fusion win the Supporter Shield, I thought it was good enough to just get on the list as well and sneak in at 9.
All leading up to the folding of a team.
What a way to go out.
He was like just out of mine. I just could so I put a lot of emphasis on impact from seasons before,
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't take out other players. So I really like Chacon in that spot. I think it's a really good pick. Um, the biggest part that I saw out of those numbers, 0 penalties. Everything from open play. So the golden boot from open play, win the Shield, losing in the semis. I don't know if maybe the team folding directly after that maybe hampered and changed my mindset a little bit, or if it was the fact that I only got like an hour to put this list together because I wasn't prepared. Because I think realistically that probably is like a 8 to 10 pick that should be there. So I
So,
like it.
in fairness to the criteria that you kind of mentioned before, Miami the season before finished ninth in the overall standings, and they missed the playoffs. Yeah, they
Ninth,
missed the playoffs.
yeah. So he probably could have gotten in there.
Yeah, I'd say, listen, he's low on my list. So, I mean, he's on there. So, obviously, it was a phenomenal season, but uh, definitely can be up for debate on if he's on someone's list or not. So,
Yeah, like I said, he was the one that I had taken out like last minute. I swapped him for a couple others based off of a running criteria list that I had. So, um, that being said, my number 9 spot is 2012 Chris Wondolowski. So 27 goals off of 5 penalties, 5 assists in 35 appearances, wins San Jose the Supporters Shield after missing the playoffs the year before, lost in the conference semifinals. But the biggest thing for me was he won the Golden Boot that year by 9 goals. It wasn't even close. And if I remember correctly, that season he also set the, at the time, current most goals in a season record. I'm looking that up just to be sure.
yeah, I'm
Um,
pretty sure you're right on that
I,
one.
I'm almost positive, but um, yes. So in 2012, yeah, he had broken the record and gotten to 27 goals, which was previously held by Roy Lasser in the 96 season. So he had done something that hadn't been done in 15 years, 16 years. So
Mm-hmm.
that for me jumped him into my list. Like his season comparative to everything else that had been going on was so massive. Like he had been scoring at such a rate we hadn't seen for 16 years. Now, yeah, Stern John had 26 in 98, Diallo had 26 in 20, and Ruiz had 24 in 2002. Nothing came close to that until he did it in 2012. So that for me put him at the bottom of my list. He didn't win, he didn't do the double, but he did win a supporter shield, which in 2012, and I will die on this hill, was the more important trophy. He did it over 34 games, 30 whatever games. So to me, I'm really happy with that spot there.
Okay. I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay. I don't know what you want to tell you. Give me your
So,
number 8.
number 8. All right. So, for number 8, I've gone with 2008 GBS. 7 goals, 19 assists in 29 games while winning the double, Supporter Shield and MLS Cup. That was probably the biggest weight for me, is the fact that he won the double while also putting up massive numbers. I mean, 19 assists in a season, I want to say is joint, I guess, third or a joint fourth all time in assists while winning the double. I mean, that's massive. That's huge. I didn't look into how they did the season before, so I don't know if it was a massive jump up or not, but he beat out Landon Donovan that season, who had 29 goal contributions, and he beat out Blanco, who had 18 goal contributions. So, I mean, to me, beating out Landon Donovan in that season, the guy who's literally named after the award is named after him, definitely was, another factor to be considered. But really, as I said before, winning the double for me was huge, and being such a large contributor to it was really a big factor in me getting him on the list here.
It's kind of wild that the list is named after somebody who's probably in the top 10 worst MVP seasons. if we made
Yeah, it
that
is
list.
kind of
It's kind
wild.
of funny.
And definitely not named after the guy who won it twice.
Yeah, right. um, Connor, I gotta say that pick, it's pretty good.
Yeah, is it because you have him at
I got
eight?
GBS at number 8 as well for all the things you mentioned. But I think for me, most importantly, was a way that he found a way to cheat his way to an MLS Cup final win. Because as we know, Red Bull were robbed in 2008 and absolutely deserved to actually be the winners of that. So
I
no,
can't wait to talk about that one on MLS history.
the thing for me that stood out, one, Columbus had missed the playoffs the year before. They came back, did the double the next season, Shield Cup. I mean, if that doesn't tell you, and Shalota was in Argentina at the time when that happened. So if that doesn't tell you the impact of one player, nothing will. But also, he had 5 more assists than the next best player in that category. So he was setting people up better than anybody, until Sasha Kljestan in 2020 or 2019, I think it was. Anyways,
Go
yeah,
team. We were in agreement.
yeah, that's terrifying.
Probably going to be
The last time.
maybe. No, not probably not the
It
last
can't be
time.
the last time. If you messed up one, I will punch you.
No pressure.
Give me your number 7.
Number 7, in a very similar theme, I've gone for 2002 Carlos Ruiz.
Nice.
Won the double, 24 goals, 1 assist in 26 games. I covered. I think we actually both coincidentally covered this one in
We
MLS
did.
history retold. But he was phenomenal for them that season. Galaxy had, to this point in their franchise history, had been to a number of finals and haven't been able to kind of get across the final line. And then Carlos Ruiz comes in and tears it up for them. What's not counted for in my stats are, I believe, the 8 goals he scored in MLS Cup playoffs to win them the championship as well. He was massive for them that season. And I believe he held the Galaxy goal record up until Zlatan came in, which was like almost 20 years later at that point. So his season was massive, 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 massive. And 25 goal contributions compared to a lot of other names on this list, it probably doesn't look like much. But as a striker with 24 of those being goals and helping your team win the double, I think it was a massive season for him.
I gotta be honest with you, I think you're underselling him a little bit. I think 7 is low. I will tell you I have him, but I will tease that by saying I think you have him low. Um, Mainly because of those 8 goals, right? You're talking about how massive he was to the MLS Cup, breaking the curse, right? For lack of a better term. Um, if he doesn't score those 8 goals, they don't win. And a ton of extra time goals, golden goals in extra time. Um, not a ton of penalties either. Only 4 penalties in the 32 total goals between regular season and playoffs. He's doing it all from Open Cup. And again, he had a good team around him, but as you mentioned, in the years prior, they hadn't done it. So I think it's a bit low, but I agree that he should be on here.
That's probably fair. I think I looked at it without taking into account really the playoff goals, just from a pure numbers perspective, because everything I grabbed was just regular season. I think taking into account those goals, he probably would move up my list. I think that's a fair point.
Yeah. My 7 was 2014 Robbie Keane. 25 goals, 1 penalty, 13 assists in 38 appearances. LA only finished second in the table that year, ridiculously. But he did win MLS Cup that year, of course, with the finishing the dynasty almost. And then 3rd most goals, 2nd most assists. So up there in terms of contributions on both types of contributions, goals and assists. And I think if you remember that 2014 team, any other striker does not get goals like that. Those goals that he scored were not anything remotely close to what other players could do. He was in a league of his own that year. Again, it didn't set him apart massively for me, but he is a massive part of why they had a plus 32 goal differential. which was the best by 17. Like, I mean, it just insanity in terms of what they did. 69 goals for, um, a lot of them coming off of his foot. So he's up there for me in that aspect. Yeah,
It's crazy that they lost the Supporter Shield to Seattle that
to
season.
Seattle, I know.
Insane. Yep. Good pick.
Tell me about your number
Uh,
6.
yep. 6 for me. And I don't know, maybe I went low on this one again, or maybe I went high. We'll find out on your reaction. 2015 Sebastian Giovinco.
Oh my god! You out of your mind?
22 goals, 16 assists, and 33 appearances. But the team was not great that year.
It wasn't. I know.
They were 12th in the Supporter Shield, 11 points off the Supporter Shield winners, and lost in the first round to Montreal. The stats are unreal.
It's stupid how good they were.
They are. There's only been one man who's beat out the goal contributions, and we'll talk about that one later. But just considering how poor the team was that year, I dropped them down a little bit. I had top 6 guys, and he was in that list of easily being in the top 6, and I'm definitely open to talking about him being a bit higher. But I weighed just as much the team performance as I did the stats. So while his stats are unreal and unbelievable, and he put up ridiculous numbers, his team didn't perform so great. He also played a lot more games than some of the other guys did. So he played 33, which is tied with Hany, I think, for the most in terms of just regular season games. Which is, to be fair to some of these other guys, if they had played 33 games, might have been up and around that goal contributions as well with a team that performed better. So I went a little low, I think, probably just based off of the team performance, but obviously highly deserving of being on the list. He was a game changer for the entire league. And in terms of breaking out these ridiculous goals and assist numbers, I mean, judging by your reaction, I would highly assume you have him much higher, but
Not much higher. I'll be honest with you. Like it's not night and day, but for me, and I don't want to dive into it too deep because I'm going to talk about it in a little bit.
yeah.
He started that season in Serie A. He came in after playing a not a full season. He came in not the number one guy in I think he was it Juve at that time? Yeah. Or yeah, it was Juventus. He came in his first season and led the league in both goals and assists. And based on my research, which was the last 2 hours, I did not find a single person who did both of those from the ever argued striker slash cam position, Adam rolling over in his grave. I have not seen a single person who has done more to a team as an individual. They missed the playoffs the year before and he dragged them to the playoffs that year. Yes, they didn't do so well, but he set them up to be very, very good. I have him higher. Oh, actually, it is a lot higher. um, and I'm not going to move him, so I'm going to leave him there. Yeah, I've got him a lot higher. I think strictly for the fact that he came in and was the best player, both setting players up. And if I look really quickly, the players he was setting up in 2015 included the ever talented likes of Bright DK, Jordan Hamilton. Josie Altidore got in there for 28 games, so Josie was there.
Uh-huh.
Michael Bradley was behind them at age 26. So they had the trio. Jonathan Osorio was in there. But the strike pair that they had, Hercules Gomez, age 32, Bright DK for 4 games, Luke Moore for 28 games. Sorry, 17 games. He made 17 appearances, Luke Moore. Robbie Finley made 26 appearances, scored 2 goals. Like, he was setting people up who had no business being in that team. So the goals he can do on his own. He's a great free kick taker. But the fact that he was setting up more than just Josie Altidore and Michael Bradley for goals is impressive.
Like a lot of this core is the core that won them the treble.
Correct.
It's Justin Morrow, Jonathan Osorio, Michael Bradley, Josie Altidore. And
Right,
these guys played. It's not like they were bench guys at the time.
Correct. And I'm not saying that he didn't play in a bad team, but what I'm saying is the way the goals were spread out between the one here, two there, I don't know if there is. I would like to look in to see if I could look at how many of his assists, like who they went to. I'm sure it's somewhere. Transfermarkt is pretty good at that. But man, the impact that he made, I think, was greater than a sixth best season of all time.
Probably, but the team was terrible. I don't know why the team was so bad. Maybe it was a coaching thing. Looks like it was a defense thing, which obviously, he's not going to be responsible for that, but the team was not good that year. I mean, you lost to Montreal in the first round of the playoffs. This isn't like an unreal Montreal team.
Was that the? No, it wasn't. Was that the like 5-3 insane game? No, Toronto won that. Never mind.
No, they stomped them. It was 3-0.
Gotcha. I don't know. I think
there's probably a good middle ground for both of our rankings for where he should be.
There absolutely is, but here we are.
Who's your 6?
Number 6, I've got Dwayne De Rosario in 2013, if I remember correctly.
No,
2011. Sorry. What really did this for me was the fact that he was really, really good for 3 different teams. 17 goals, 4 penalties, 12 assists in 41 appearances for 3 different teams. He did finish with DC United, who missed the playoffs, but he scored the most goals in the league and had the 3rd most assists. And what really got me is 3rd most assists over 3 teams. It wasn't like he had one guy that he was feeding. He did it with 3 different teams. And I think that's really, really impressive. So I put him up a bit higher.
I think I'm being screwed by the MLS stats system. Because to your point that we talked about before we started hitting record, it popped up as him having 18 games played, 13 goals, 7 assists. So I was like,
that's probably for
goals.
Yeah, that's probably for.
I was like, there's no way I'm putting him on my list if he only played 18 games.
I think that's your one team, not the whole thing.
Yeah, it is. I think it's just DC. I'd have to put everything together and reevaluate because I'm sure he would be on my list then in that case. But that's a fair point.
Now, is he a bit higher? Like, should he probably maybe drop a little bit? Maybe.
Because how do you rate like in terms of a team performance? Like, do you go
and
based off of
right? This was the one that I didn't rate on a team performance because he really he played for DC, who missed the playoffs barely. Played for Red Bull, who made the playoffs, of course, because we always make the playoffs, and he played with Toronto, who won the Canadian Championship. So, how much did he really impact all that? You can't really gauge it, but to have 12 assists, to lead the league or be 3rd most assists over 3 teams and lead the league in goals, that's just the sign of a pure baller.
So he was on 3 different teams that season.
He started with Toronto. We traded for him to the Red Bulls, and then we traded him to DC for Dax McCarty.
I want to see if I can find his stats, like his full stats on FBref real quick. Have it up, pulling it up. If it wants to work. It's so weird. He's still coming up as only his DC stuff. Why does everybody split it? This is so annoying.
You know who doesn't? Wikipedia, and Wikipedia never lies.
That's true. I'll do this off air. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, while we wait, why don't you tell me who who else you incorrectly put in your top five, because that's where we're going now.
At number 5, I've gone with 2014 Robbie Keane. So
Okay.
the one you talked about at 7, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton to add. I'll just add his MLS.com numbers: 19 goals, 14 assists in 32 regular season games. Second place in the Supporters Shield. Can make the argument that they realistically probably should have been Supporters Shield champions, just based on if you're looking at who was the best team in the regular season, it was probably them. And won MLS Cup. So, I mean, there's just in the numbers alone, plus what the team was capable of doing, he was super high on my list. I mean, we know Robbie Keane is one of the best strikers in the league's history. Beat out good competition too. Obafemi Martins had 30 goal contributions that season. Lead Win had 23. So he beat out good players, had a phenomenal season. One of the early seasons I can remember from following MLS. So super notable for me, obviously for many others, I'm sure. So easy one to put on the list. I put him a bit higher, probably because I weighted the team performance a bit more.
Okay. My number 5, and it might get you tight, and I really hope it does. 2018 Josef Martinez at number
Had
5.
5?
At 5.
What? You're insane.
So here's why.
Yeah, go ahead. Try and explain this.
35 goals, 6 assists in 39 appearances, 9 penalties.
So
9 penalties. I'm not going to sit here and listen to the penalties
Oh,
count as
so he had
goals
26 goals without penalties, which would top majority of this list.
I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Sorry.
You're insane.
I'm not having it.
He beat out Zlatan, who had 32 goal contributions that season. He's half the reason Zlatan never got an MVP award in this league.
The reason why Zlatan didn't get one is because they won MLS Cup. If they lose MLS Cup, it's Zlatan's trophy. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because I'm not. It also doesn't. It also doesn't help that they bottled Supporters Shield to the worst team in the league on the final day.
No, don't hit me with the worst team in the league. The worst team in the league does not win Supporters Shield.
No,
You're just trying to downplay it.
No, they bottled it.
Oh, you mean to Toronto?
Yes,
to
who
Toronto.
was dead and gone, worst team in the league by miles that year, and they choked it.
Yeah, it was a bad game. You can't write off the entire rest of the season because of one bad game.
No, I'm not writing the entire rest of the season, but
you are. You're like, oh, they lost to Toronto, so there goes the.
They lost to Toronto. He scored a third of his goals from penalties. Was surrounded by the best roster in MLS history. Whoa, surrounded by the best roster in MLS history up to that point, bar maybe 2013 LA. Maybe. Scored 3 hat tricks against, I think, Minnesota in the snow. Like, I gotta look. I don't know where they are. He won the Golden Boot by 9 goals, and I'll give him that. But those 9 goals were penalties, and I'm not happy.
Yeah, so take away the 9 goals, take away the penalty, all his penalties, he's still the Golden Boot.
He's joint Golden Boot.
Yeah, okay, so then you got to take away penalties from everyone else too. He probably still has Golden Boot.
With
what?
Who did he joint Golden Boot with?
I have no idea.
Me either. I was hoping you'd fill me in. I thought you had stats.
I don't have Golden Boot stat.
I've got it here. Hold on.
Why would I have second place Golden Boot stat?
Because you're a nerd. You're my numbers guy. With Zlatan. With Zlatan. He would have been at level with Zlatan.
No, oh yes. But you're telling me Zlatan didn't take 1 penalty that year.
I could look it up.
No shot.
So here's the thing. I could look it up, but it'd probably go against my narrative. So I'm not.
It absolutely goes against your narrative.
Here's what I'm saying. He's still top 5, right? He's still top 5 for me. I'm not saying
be way higher than 5.
No shot. No shot. He's top 5, but I'm not putting him higher than 5.
I'll save my argument for when I get to him.
at number 1.
He's not at number 1. I'm not delusional.
Damn right, it better not be. Tell me who you got at number 4.
At number 4, I have got 2012 Chris Wondolowski.
Okay, that's high.
I think you went way too low on him.
I feel like that's high.
Let's put into perspective here for a second of what the MVPs were putting up generally around this time period. And I have to caveat it by saying that I don't have Darrow's full stats because he was on 3 different teams and I have to go add everything together. What did you say it was for him again?
I
His
have
full
him.
thing?
I have him at 27 goals, 5 penalties, 5 assists, and 35 appearances across all competition.
27 goals. Hold on. I want to find it really quick. I'm seeing 13 plus 2 plus 1. But he didn't, I don't think he made the playoffs, so I don't know where those extra goals are coming from.
Wait, I'm sorry. Who is this?
Dayro?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 17 goals, 4 PKs, 12 assists.
Okay.
Sorry. I thought we were still talking Wando. My bad.
So goals around this time, we got, I think you said 10. I have 8 for David Ferreira, 12 Landon Donovan in 09. Then 2011, 17 for Darrow. 2013 was 21 for Mike McGee. 2014, 19 for Robbie Keane. And then just 2012, 27 from Chris Wondolowski with 34 goal contributions across the whole season, where they won Supporter Shield. And as you said, we're not even, I think you said they weren't in the playoffs the year before that.
Yep.
And almost went to, they lost in the conference semifinals to the LA Galaxy, who were ridiculously stacked team in 2012. So he put up ridiculous numbers, genuinely one of the best seasons in MLS history. And as you said, tied Roy Lassiter's goals in a season record, which was standing without being touched for, it was like for 16 years or something like that. It was ridiculous. Like 27 goals nowadays, it's like, yes, that would be an amazing season, very good, but it wouldn't be completely out of the ordinary. In 2012, set 27 goals in the regular season and winning the Supporter Shield is unreal. He beat out Thierry that year for MVP. Thierry had ridiculous numbers too.
Sorry.
15
You
goals.
need please use the correct phrasing. He cheated Thierry Henry out of it.
He did not cheat Thierry Henry out of it. It's a ridiculous season. I think you heavily underrated that. It it's genuinely, I think, for the time period and what he was able to accomplish, I think it was massive.
You know what? I agree with you. I think I did underrate it a little bit. Yeah, way better than that Yosef bum
Oh,
penalties all
stop
over.
it. Stop it.
No, I agree with you. I think I was low with it. I think he's probably clear of Dayro, clear of Keane. Right. He broke the record that year. I you know what? You're right. I slept on that. Probably should move him up. I'll give you that. Am I at 4?
Yes.
2019 Carlos Vela
Wait a minute. At 4?
at 4.
Oh boy, we're gonna have a fight later.
38 goals, 9 penalties,
Oh, you and the penalties. There's a goals. Those are still goals. You can't just
12,
completely
12 assists in 37 appearances. LAFC win the Supporter Shield, lose in the conference finals. He wins Golden Boot, third most assists, set the scoring record for the league, 2 hat tricks, beat LA Galaxy 5-3. I just have players above him. Like, it's not a bad season. I think the PKs dropped him for me. I could have put him at 3, maybe
Oh,
2.
you and the PKs,
PKs
man.
dropped him for me. Not gonna lie, I'm not. You know me, my thoughts on PKs. That being said, I'm not bashing this like as the worst. I think there are just better years. He was surrounded again up to this point. Name a better roster, right? Look at all of the biggest signings that have come from this league. It came from 2018 Josef and 2019 Carlos's year. Like, you're not looking at Chacon, who in 2001 was carrying the Fusion to nothing. It weighs a little bit less for me.
That's outrageous. That is outrageous. I don't want to say too much because it's going to spoil things if I say it.
All right, move on to
Just
3.
know there's going to be fighting words in the future.
Move on to 3 then.
At 3, I've got 2018 Josef Martinez because I have a
You're,
brain.
you're losing your mind over 2 spots. Stop it.
Yes. Yes.
Stop it.
Top 3 for me was easy top 3. Clearly, we don't have the same top 3. We probably have like one player in common in the top 3. But yes, I've gone with 2018 Josef Martinez. Because he scored 31 goals, 6 assists, and 32 appearances. Yes, they threw away the support shield on the last day, but they were literally so close to doing the double with Josef scoring 31 goals, which set the scoring record at the time, plus 6 assists, beating out Miguel Marón, who obviously we know very well, a guy that set the transfer record with how good he was, and Zlatan, who he beat out, which obviously we talked about that a little bit before. It was genuinely, at the time, one of the greatest scoring season in MLS history. That's just a fact. It doesn't matter if 9 of them or however many were penalties, because you still have to score penalties. You don't just get a free goal just because you have a penalty.
It is a 75% chance.
Okay, so then take 75% of 9 away. He still easily won the Golden Boot and was a hairpin away from doing the double while doing it. He was a hairpin away from setting the goals record in MLS while winning the double. That's not a top 3 season to you. That's not a top 3 season for you.
No. No.
You're out of your mind.
Fight me.
Number 3?
My number 3, I put Carlos Ruiz from 2002 because of how he turned on the clutch gene in the playoffs. Did the Shield Cup double, which we already talked about, was a massive selling point for our list, is how the team performed with him. 32 goals in MLS normal season and playoffs. And again, if you're talking total goals, Josef in Open Cup, let's go back for a second. Carlos Ruiz, 32 goals in playoffs and in regular season, 33 appearances. Josef Martinez, 35 goals, 9 penalties in 39 appearances. So we're looking at 28 goals in 33 appearances, not non-PK goals, or 24 goals in 39 appearances.
You can't just write off penalty goals. You can't.
I literally can, and I literally
you can.
All right, there's a reason why your favorite numbers website has expected goals minus penalties or goals minus penalties, because it's a stat that matters.
It just has goals, and it also just has
it's
expected
a stat
goals.
that matters. It is. If you're just cherry picking goals off of the penalty spot, even if you convert 90% of them and you're missing a couple here and there, you're still cherry picking most of them off of a free shot. I'm not saying they're not goals. I'm saying they're weighted less for me.
But in those circumstances as well, how many of the times was it a chance where Josef maybe could have scored but was fouled in the box and then didn't have the opportunity to?
He didn't have the opportunity to. He had 9 penalties.
Well, yeah, you're discrediting all the penalties. So in this case, the penalties might as well have not happened. So it's basically like you turned on no rules FIFA and someone could just take him out in the box when he has a shot to score. And now all of a sudden it might as well have just never happened. So then you're just erasing all those opportunities where he would have scored if he wasn't fouled.
Listen, all I'm saying is that Carlos Ruiz turned on the clutch gene in the playoffs, won the double. Josef choked away a supporter shield against the worst team in the league. Carlos Vela bottled the conference finals for MLS Cup. Carlos Ruiz is clear. I would argue that maybe Vela can go higher than Ruiz, but I won't put Josef above it. I won't.
You're living in 2002 MLS. Go for it.
I think 2002, it was a great team. Right? I'm not going to tell you that they didn't have a great team around them, but I think that 2018 Atlanta or 2019 LAFC walks.
Yeah, because modern day MLS is much better than 2002 MLS.
Correct. So it's more impressive.
Yeah.
That he
it's more impressive that Josef can score 31 goals against a better team.
Freeze. Defending in MLS 1.0 was miles, individual center back defending miles clear of what we have now, because the attacking talent was worse. Comparatively, it is miles clear.
Just because the attackers are worse doesn't mean the defending is better. Just means the attacking is worse.
If the defense goes like this and the attack goes like this, then the distance between them is the comparative level. Right? Right?
Look, we're never going to get on the same page on this. We should just move on.
I'm glad you've come to that agreement. Give me your number 2. If you mess it up, I'll fight you.
You're going to fight me because it's not
wait,
your
no, I
number
won't.
one.
No, I know who. No, you're right. Your number 2 has to be this person because if you messed up number 1 this badly, I am going to fly back to New York and fight you.
You're going to fight me, so book your flight because we do not have the same number 1.
Oh my God, you're gonna mess this up, aren't you? Say it so I can end this call. I'm gonna hang up on you.
At number 2, I have got 2000 Tony Meola.
Oh my God. You are the dumbest individual on the face of the planet. I can't believe how out of touch with football you are. Your ball knowledge is literally the core of the earth. That's how through the floor it is. That's how dumb you are. I can't believe you messed this up that bad. Oh my goodness.
Well, I've got the opening clip. Thank you very much. I've gone with 2000 Tony Meola, easily the greatest goalkeeping season in history, and obviously one of the best seasons in history. I have a number 2 on my list. He was first that season in goals against average, first that season in save percentage, a clean sheets record that still exists to this day, and was 4th in saves that season, while winning the Shield Cup double.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's easily one of the best seasons in history. But I mean, it's kind of obvious who I have above him at this point. I had him at 2 because there are goalkeepers now who get comparable stats to this, maybe not completely across the board. Andre Blake sometimes gets basically these stats. It's close to it, not exactly it. Granted, he's not winning the double while doing it, but granted, he's also competing with like 17 more teams to win the Shield and the Cup. But I also think that Tony Meola had a really strong defense that season, and not to discredit what he was capable of doing. Obviously, his save percentage was very good. And the fact that he was 4th in saves clearly shows that he was getting action in goal and wasn't just sleepwalking back there. But this Wizards team was one of the best defensive teams in arguably league history, just based on the numbers. So I think that he's had some help in terms of what his defense was able to do in terms of, helping him get 16 clean sheets, helping him have a goals against average of 0.92.
That's the argument you're going to use. You're going to use his defense helped him, like Carlos Vela walked the entire league by himself and nobody ever gave him any help. That's what you're going to use.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't believe I do a podcast with somebody whose ball knowledge is negative. I can't believe that. My number 2 is Giovinco. I've already.
Yeah, I think it was kind of obvious that you had Giovinco.
I've already defended it. It's the greatest individual season of all time.
That's ridiculous.
Leading goals and assists. Maybe, all right, that's maybe a stretch, but you know what I mean. Nobody has done that before. I don't think nobody's done it since. It's the greatest put the team on my back performance I've seen in MLS. Now let's go back to this Tony Meola problem. You're gonna sit here and tell me after running the stats off, here is what I've determined from your entire spiel you just made.
Okay.
You're a goalkeeper here. You're not a part of the union. You don't get what it's about.
I never was part of the union.
You don't get the disrespect that goalkeepers go through week in and week out. Come out and make 12 saves. Okay, good. You did your job. Let one goal go in. You are the most hated man on the planet. This guy came in and was not the best goalkeeper, the best player in the league. A league that consisted of massive players. Mamadou Diallo, Cletus Mathis were 2 of the players he beat out. I'm not even going to go through the list of other players that were in that at the time. But you're going to tell me after 4th in saves, best save percentage, most shutouts, that it was all his defense that did it for him?
I did not say it was all his defense that did it for him.
I won't have it. Like
you're just misquoting me now.
No, I did.
Yeah,
No, because what I'm doing is I'm interpreting your words and saying what you really meant. You are a goalkeeper hater. You put zero respect on the position of goalkeeper. Tony Meola is my number one. It's not even close. The fact that he's the only goalkeeper to ever do this matters. 33 goals against in 21 clean sheets. 5 of the 7 clean sheet playoff games were clean sheets. So again, step it up when it matters. 38 total appearances, 21 clean sheets. Wiz did the Shield Cup double. Meola won goalkeeper of the year and comeback player of the year. So not only did he do it, he did it after either being really bad the year before or being hurt the year before. I don't know which one it is yet. But I will not sit here and have you talk to me about how a guy who scored goals with the most dangerous and lethal attack in league history was clear because 2000 KC had a good defender or two. I won't have it. I just won't have it.
You just made my argument, but for Vela. You said he has a great attack around him, so it boosts his numbers. But Tony Meola can't have a good defense in front of him to help his numbers.
You made that argument. I made the comment that said Carlos Vela had a great team around him, and you said, yeah, but. Now you're saying Tony Meola shouldn't get it because he had a good team around him. You don't get to play both sides of the coin.
That's not the only reason. That is not the only reason.
No, the only reason is because you're a recency biased Euro snob who only likes players who came from overseas to be the best. That's what you are.
No, I think you're just blanking out that season.
And you're a Mexico sim. That's what you are.
I think you're blanking out that season.
Mexico more than USA. That's what it is.
Try to flash back to 2019, Andrew, and take a look into his brain and see what was going on watching Carlos Vela that season. This man finished the season with 49 goal contributions. I can't find the list of where that ranks all time, but on the list of MVPs here, I can't imagine there might be a guy or two in here that didn't win MVP that had more goal contributions. The closest was Sebastian Giovinco in 2015, where he had 38. Carlos Vela is 11 goal contributions clear of that. 11 while winning the Supporter Shield and setting the points record. The Supporter Shield that you say is the more important cup to win anyway. So he won the more important cup. Yes, he lost in the playoffs, but he won the more important cup in your opinion while setting the points record and obliterating the goal contributions record. He had almost 50 goal contributions, and the two players that he beat that season, you could argue would win MVP in about 75-80% of other seasons. Zlatan with 30 goals, 7 assists would probably win MVP in like 80% of other MLS seasons. Maybe even higher than that. Probably even higher than that. And Josef had 27 goals, 4 assists, which probably wins MVP in like 75% of other MLS seasons. He beat out insane competition while shattering records. Yes, you were talking about Giovinco is the only one that's had the most goals, most assists in the season. Carlos Vela was third most assists. He was right there. Maxi had 20 that season, which is phenomenal. It's I think either like second or third most of all time in a season. Actually, I have the list up. It is joint second best in history. Vela had 15 assists that season, so he was not far off from that. 49 goal contributions, obliterates everybody else on this MVP list, and his team was highly successful. Tony Meola's season was unreal. It was fantastic. People are not hitting this 49 goal contribution record anytime soon. But I guarantee you we can find goalkeepers who will hit the 0.92 goals against average. Goalkeepers that'll have 82% save percentage. Hell, they've been very close to breaking that 16 clean sheet record. So that's why I put Carlos Vela above Tony Meola, because he has set records that are not going to be broken probably anytime soon.
I will agree with you that my Vela and Josef should be higher. I will not sit here and let you slander the good name of goalkeeping.
Well, you're a goalkeeper. Of course, you're going to pick the goalkeeper.
You're telling me that somebody who put up all these numbers, just because other people might get them, doesn't mean that it was the best season of all time as a goalkeeper. Because here's the thing. There are goalkeepers that probably should have won other ones here. and they were slandered. So the fact that every year the league looked upon who the attackers were, who the attacking midfielders were, how many goals and assists and goal contributions and this, that, and the other. The fact that he beat all of that out still to win this award matters more than however many you can put up with a super team around you. Because that, to me, is a better metric of what that award means. Sorry, I'm trying to look up here to figure out what his 1999 season was.
Go ahead. That's fine. Take your time. I'm going to do a little research of my own.
Yes, he was injured for most of the year. So he came off of injury to win goalkeeper of the year and comeback player of the year. That is way more impressive than the guy coming out of Europe with a super team around him, beating up on Sporting KC. Sorry. Not bothered.
You can't say beating up on Sporting KC. Like 2000 MLS didn't have garbage teams as well.
I totally can, because it makes my point better.
We're never going to find a happy ground on this one. We're just going to always disagree. But
yeah, because one of us uses our brain, the other one is you.
Yeah, I am using my brain.
Unbelievable.
What was I gonna say? I got lost.
Yeah, lost.
Where would you said you'd move up Vela? Where would you move him up to?
I'd move Vela to 2. I'd move Vela to 2.
The fact that you had him behind Gio is insane. That is insane.
Like I said, I look at it now, and I think I'd go, if I had to redo it, it'd be Miola, Vela, Giovinco, Ruiz, Martinez, and then the rest. And actually, I'd move Wando up. I'd move Wando up to 6. Everybody else drops.
I'd move Ruiz up my list as well. I think you made good points for Ruiz. I'd probably drop Keane. I'd probably jump Ruiz over Gio. I'd actually probably just swap Keane and Ruiz. I'd probably have Ruiz 5 and then Keane 7. But I'm keeping Vela at 1.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the last time Connor will ever be on this podcast, because I can't believe this guy is actually talking about soccer. I hope you enjoyed our first top 10 episode. We've got tons more ideas coming, so make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, so you know when those episodes go live. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok by looking up the Designated Players Podcast, and we will be there. We are going to post all these clips, and I want to hear your thoughts. Tell me how bad Connor messed this up. Tell me how bad I messed it up, because I know I did. I messed up Vela and Martinez. They're a little bit lower than they should be. Maybe Vela.
Probably both royally flubbed it. Let's be honest. If it's people listening, commenting, they're gonna roast our choices no matter what.
Correct. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. Please let us know what you think, and share it with your friends so they can let us know what they think. And we just want to get this conversation going. So thank you again for listening, and we hope you enjoyed episode 160 of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.